We asked the BuzzFeed community to submit their weirdest ghost encounters. These are the stories they sent us. One late night, my mother and I are in her room, just watching TV. She asks for a drink, so I leave to get one. I get scared very easily, and right outside her door is a dark hallway. I suck in my breath and begin walking through the door. I make it about 5 steps when I see a white shirt glowing about 2 feet away. The shirt is small and looks like it belongs to someone about 8 years old. I have a little brother around that age, so I believe it's just him walking around in the dark. The shirt, which is all I could see, begins to come closer. Still believing it's my brother, I walk closer to it and call out his name. I stick my arms out to hug him, but realize as it gets close enough that there is no one inside of it. I jump and the shirt walks right up to me and disappears. When my brother was 2, we would catch him in our attic playing with his trains and talking with someone. We thought it was an imaginary friend, but we began to worry as he started saying the boy was in our closet, at the foot of the bed, and at the top of the stairs. One night, my mom had friends over while my dad was out of town. My brother walked down the stairs and said to my mom and her friends, "Mommy, the boy is at the door. Can I play with him?" My mom looked out the door and didn't see anyone. We later checked the history of the house and found out that a young boy fell down the stairs and died in 1957. One night I was laying down in our creepy unfinished basement, watching Halloween, which I've seen well over 100 times. When suddenly I felt a chill and the lights started to flicker. At first, I thought nothing of it. After about half an hour, the lights went out completely. I wasn't terrified of the dark at the time, so I just called out, asking my mom to bring me a flashlight. But nobody was coming. I looked forward, and in the TV was a white face staring at me. Remember, the TV was off. I just kept staring at this face, thinking it was just a reflection, but then I saw the eyes blink and stare right at me. The face smiled, and its teeth weren't human teeth. They were sharp and long. I started to cry and call out for my mom. That's when I bolted up the stairs and cried myself to sleep in my mom's bed. We've rescued 3 dogs within the last 10 years. But sadly, none of them lived more than 6 years with us. After losing our dog Eleanor Rigby in February, we decided to start fresh and get a puppy. We got a German Shepherd at 7 weeks old, and as soon as she learned how to bark, we noticed that she would bark and back away from something in the hallway on an almost nightly basis. She also did this near Rigby's urn. So one night we decided to snap some pictures. Our new dog appeared to be chasing something into the kitchen. When we went to check the film, there was a white orb that moved into the kitchen in each progressive shot. And once we had stepped into the kitchen to take a picture, the photos were black. The batteries died soon after we looked through those photos. I woke up suddenly one morning to the feeling of something extremely cold being pressed on my cheek. I jumped out of bed because naturally, I was freaked out. I went to my closet mirror and found that my entire cheek was red. After most of the redness went away, I was left with 2 red marks on my cheek in the shape of 2 fingers that didn't go away for an hour or so. I told my roommates, and to this day, we're still convinced I was attacked by a ghost. Once, I was shooting photos of a bonfire with my DSLR camera, and when I looked back at the photos a few minutes later, I noticed a large green figure moving towards the fire. It had a face and was wearing a soldier's uniform, but when I looked with my naked eye, it wasn't there. I shot 20 photos back to back, and in each, the figure got closer and closer to the fire before disappearing altogether. I'm basically petrified of ghosts now. When I was in the 4th grade, my buddies and I decided to test out the whole Bloody Mary legend. We shut my bedroom door, pulled down the shades, and stood in front of my full-length mirror. After we got to the second Bloody Mary incantation, the shade flew up with such force that it jolted my desk and pretty much decimated a collection of ceramic horses I kept on it. Needless to say, we didn't stick around to see what would happen if we had committed to the 3rd call for Bloody Mary.